The creator of Red Dead Redemption just gave us the update we didn't want to hear. Dan Houser, the man who wrote the stories of Arthur Morgan and John Marston, has finally broken his silence on Red Dead 3. And his answer? It is bittersweet. If you love the story of Arthur Morgan, if you cried at the end of Red Dead 1, you need to hear this, because we have confirmation that Red Dead 3 is real. It's happening, but it might look completely different from what you're expecting. So, is the franchise dead, or is it just evolving? Today, we are analyzing the interview, the leaks, and the timeline. Let's find the truth. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm your host, Gwyn, and today, we're riding out to find the truth about Red Dead Redemption 3. Let's start with the heavy hitters. The biggest piece of news we've had in years comes from none other than Dan Houser. If you don't know the name, you know his soul. Dan Houser was the co-founder of Rockstar Games and the lead writer for Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. Without Dan Houser, there is no Arthur Morgan. There is no line that goes,
I gave you all I had.
There is no redemption. He is the architect of the emotional trauma we all went through playing these games. Now, Dan rarely does interviews. He's notoriously private. But recently, he sat down on the Lex Fridman podcast, and someone finally asked him the question we've all been dying to know. What is next for Red Dead Redemption? His answer was incredibly direct, and for a lot of diehard fans, it was kind of a gut punch. Dan Houser described the Red Dead Redemption saga, specifically the story of the Linde gang, as a complete two-game arc. He views the story of the gang's downfall, seen through John's eyes in the first game, and Arthur's perspective in the second, as a finished saga, a closed book. In his mind, that narrative loop is tight. It's perfect. And he even admitted that hearing about Rockstar continuing the story without him makes him feel a little sad. He compared it to seeing your child raised by someone else. Now, pause for a second. That sounds terrifying, right? The creator saying the story is over. But think about what he's actually saying. He isn't saying the IP is dead. He's saying that the specific tragedy of Dutch, Arthur, and John doesn't need a third chapter. And honestly, when you take off the fan goggles, he's right. Red Dead 2 is arguably one of the greatest narratives ever written. To try and squeeze a third tragic ending out of that specific group of people might actually dilute the magic. But here is the scary part. Dan Houser left Rockstar in 2020. He is gone. He has zero creative control over what happens next. He even said in the interview,
I don't own the IP. That was the sort of part of the deal. It's a privilege to work on stuff, but you don't necessarily own it.
So we are entering uncharted territory. Red Dead 3 will be the first Red Dead game made without the man who created the voice of the franchise. It's like a Tarantino movie without Tarantino writing the dialogue. Can Rockstar pull it off? Can they capture that lightning in a bottle again without him? That is the multi-billion-dollar question. So Dan Houser is out, and he thinks the story is done. Does that mean Red Dead is dead? Absolutely not. And this is where the corporate suits come in to save the day, or at least save the release schedule. Strauss Zelnick, the CEO of Take-Two Interactive, has gone on record calling Red Dead Redemption a permanent franchise. Those are his exact words. He put Red Dead in the same category as James Bond or Grand Theft Auto. He explicitly stated that it would be a massive loss for the company if they didn't pursue it further. And looking at the numbers, you can see why. Red Dead Redemption 2 has sold over 65 million copies. It is one of the best-selling entertainment products in human history. It is a literal cash machine. They are going to make Red Dead 3. It is inevitable. Even the actors know it. Roger Clark, the voice of Arthur Morgan, has said on panels that he is certain we will see Red Dead 3 one day. Rob Wheathoff, the voice of John Marston, has teased that the team has had conversations about taking Red Dead beyond the era of the first two games. So the question isn't if, the question is when, and more importantly, what will it look like? This brings us to the leaks, and this is where things get spicy. Back in late 2023, a credible leaker known as My Time to Shine, hello, who has a solid track record, claimed that Red Dead Redemption 3 is officially in the works. According to them, while the bulk of Rockstar is crunching on GTA 6, a small skeleton crew has already started the early pre-production phase for Red Dead 3. This is standard procedure. But the real smoking gun? Earlier this year, eagle-eyed fans discovered a LinkedIn profile of a Rockstar developer. Before it was panic deleted, this resume explicitly listed work on Red Dead Redemption 3, but that wasn't even the crazy part. The resume mentioned working on systems for vehicle AI. Now, hold on. Vehicle AI? In a cowboy game? Usually, in-game code, horses are mounts, wagons are physics objects. Vehicle AI usually refers to motorized traffic, cars, trucks, This one tiny line of text has sparked the biggest theory in the community right now. Red Dead Redemption 3 might not be a Western, at least not in the way we know it. If there is vehicle AI, that implies we are moving forward in time. We are looking at the turn of the century. Imagine a Red Dead game set in the Prohibition era. The Old West is dead. The open plains are being fenced off. Oil derricks are popping up everywhere. Horses are sharing the muddy roads with Ford Model Ts. We're talking Peaky Blinders meets Yellowstone. Cowboys who have traded their revolvers for Tommy guns, dealing with bootleggers, the mafia, and the industrialization of America. This lines up perfectly with the end of the first Red Dead Redemption. Remember, John Marston dies in 1911. The epilogue with Jack Marston takes place in 1914. World War I is starting, and the era of the outlaw is over. If Rockstar follows the timeline linearly, Red Dead 3 would logically follow Jack Marston into 1920s. We could see a story about the death of the frontier, where Jack tries to be an outlaw in a world that has moved on to organized crime. It would be a seamless evolution. But is it still Red Dead? Is it still a cowboy game if you're driving a car? There's a risk there. Fans are worried that if you go too modern, it just becomes Grand Theft Auto of 1920. And that is a valid fear. Of course, moving forward isn't the only option. And for a lot of you watching, it's the wrong option. The other prevailing theory, and the one that feels safer for Rockstar, is going back, way back. We've had the death of the West in Red Dead 1. We've had the dying days of the West in Red Dead 2. Why not give us the golden age of the West, the peak of the outlaw era? No cars, no federal agents with telephones, just raw, unadulterated frontier freedom. We could see the formation of the Van der Linde gang. We could play as a young Dutch or Hosea. We could finally witness the legendary events they talk about around the campfire. We could meet Annabelle. We could see Colm O'Driscoll as a friend before he became an enemy. And, of course, the elephant in the room, the Blackwater Massacre. For 2 games now, the Blackwater Massacre has been this mythical event, the heist that went wrong, the catalyst for everything. A prequel could finally let us play through that. We could see exactly what happened on that ferry boat. It makes a lot of sense. But there is a downside. We know how it ends. We know Dutch goes crazy. We know the gang falls apart. Prequels are tricky because the tension is lowered when you know the ultimate fate of the characters. Or Rockstar could pull a complete wild card. Total reboot, new characters, new location. What about Red Dead Australia? The story of Ned Kelly and the Bushrangers? Or Sadie Adler? She was last seen heading to South America. A game following Sadie as a bounty hunter in the jungles and mountains of South America would be incredible. Now, we have to talk about the part nobody wants to hear. We have to be realistic about the calendar. I know we're hyped. I know the leaks are exciting, but we need to look at Rockstar's development cycle. Grand Theft Auto 5 came out in 2013, Red Dead Redemption 2 came out in 2018, Grand Theft Auto 6 is slated for fall 2025. The gaps are getting wider. Games are getting harder, more expensive, and longer to make. Rockstar does not rush. They are perfectionists to a fault. If Red Dead 3 is in very early pre-production right now, we are looking at a development cycle of at least 6 to 8 years once full production starts. If full production starts after GTA 6 ships in 2026, do the math. We are probably looking at a release date, maybe 2031, maybe 2032. That is a long time to wait. But that is the new normal for AAA gaming. So, where does that leave us? We have a franchise that the CEO calls permanent. We have a creator who says the story is done. We have leaks pointing to vehicle AI in a 1920 setting. And we have a wait time that stretches into the next decade. It's a lot to process, but here is the bottom line. Red Dead Redemption 3 is coming. The wheels are turning. It might not have Dan Houser at the helm. It might not have horses as the primary mode of transport, but the spirit of the franchise, that exploration of the American soul, the violence, the beauty, that is too valuable to let die. Personally, I'm torn. Part of me wants that 20s Jack Marston story, but another part of me just wants one more night around the campfire with the gang in their prime. But I want to turn this over to you guys. This is the most passionate community in gaming, and I always respect your thoughts in the comments. So tell me, if you were in charge of Rockstar, which option you would have gone for? Option A, the Jack Marston sequel. Option B, the prequel with young Dutch. Or Option C, something totally new. Drop your vote in the comments. Let's get a debate going. And listen, if you want to stay updated on GTA 6, Red Dead 3, and every other major title coming out, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. Thanks for watching. Thanks for riding with me, and I'll see you in the next one.